start. Just make
I mean,
sure
we are starting.
Well,
We're talking to the entire internet right now, but you're like, Maddy, let me just tell you a quick secret before we get going.
I was gonna say,
what's the
check your
secret,
settings and
Ryan?
make sure that you have the microphone
I
set to
checked my settings 600 times,
okay.
except do I still sound like shit?
No.
Like, does my
You
mic
actually sound really good right now.
Good, because last week I think I accidentally recorded into the video with my default mic, but luckily the audio only version is good, except I'm pretty sure only like 3 people listened to that. So those people got like a really crisp quality Maddy Myers voice, but everybody else had to deal with like me talking through this little automatic mic that's attached to my headphones.
Well,
which is like not terrible, but it's not a great mic. So I feel kind of bad. Anyway, I'll try to not. I didn't even know that was happening. Like this whole thing.
Okay. You know what, though?
Ryan.
If people want the crisp version of these, like the podcast is not on iTunes yet. So
oh my God. Can we talk about that?
Let's say hello to everyone.
All right.
Hi,
all right.
everyone.
Are you recording?
I am recording.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Insomniacs in the morning.
Where we try to wake up and drink coffee and eat food and talk geek. And I don't know. It's been a rough morning already. Ben was like, are you going to make it this morning?
Oh, but you did. You made it.
Yeah, well, I was breaking everything on the way.
That's like every day. Is that different? I mean, okay, so I guess we should like apologize, but it's not our fault. But our website went down this week.
Okay.
And
a lot of it's not okay. Where do we even start? So let's talk about the fact that the Atomic Blue website went down this week, and it took me like a full 3 days to fix it.
Well, you weren't fixing it. You were
I was
being triaged on the phone forever with
and
people.
online and in chats and in emails between both Bluehost and WordPress, because neither of them knew what happened, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can back up your site to January 7th." I'm like, "Great, it was fine then." And they're like, "Well, it's only backing up to this template," and I'm like, "What happened?" And nobody could provide me any kind of explanation. So eventually, after being infuriated with them for days, I was like, I'm just going to rebuild the website. I've got everything backed up. We were talking about rebranding everything anyway. So here's a good opportunity to do that. But in the irony here is that also with the studio that I work at, we had some website issues with them too. So I think this is very clearly a turnover from 2015 to 2016 thing, and a bunch of plugins or whatever just stopped working or whatever. I don't know. There's no explanation for this.
That's a really weird. I mean, basically it sounded to me like they accidentally deleted our entire website and didn't want to admit that they did that.
I mean, that's pretty much what it was. And I kept on telling them it was unacceptable, but they didn't.
And I was like,
they also didn't care.
Ask them for more money. And Ryan was like, Maddy, they're not giving me that.
They were just not helpful at all.
Complaining, and they're not doing it.
So since the whole website, it basically shut down and put in this other WordPress
we had to start from scratch.
All the stuff that we had posted for Insomniacs in the morning for the RSS feed was then deleted, even though it's on iTunes because they've already pulled it for their feed.
Well,
but now I'm trying to reset it, and they're not. It's
and this
just
was all happening right after I edited, or right before and then right after I edited the 3rd episode. So for the people who listen to the audio only version of the show, they're probably like, "Where's the 3rd episode?"
Well, at least that's still on the website.
It's on our website. Is the answer?
Get it there.
It's not in iTunes.
No, but you can upload it into your iTunes. So
we're not. We're sorry.
I don't know what's happening with that. I'm still waiting to hear back from iTunes itself, because then I went to iTunes and I did contact their support team, and they got back to me and they're like, "Oh, you have to contact our podcasting page here." And they sent me a link, but the link was broken, and then their page was down for 2 full days. So it just went in yesterday.
Cool. Well, thanks. Thanks, companies.
I don't see. This is why I think it's not just me at this point. I think it's there must be something with the turnover of the new year, because why else would it happen to all these different websites?
I mean, it must be maybe people were on vacation. I don't expect people to work around the clock to benefit our tiny production company, but I also
I thought it was more technical.
And
it might be
to,
the way that they programmed it
off their butts and help us.
Us specifically.
Yeah. All right. So, I think I'm ironically more awake than you, even though I probably got about the same amount of sleep.
Well, tell me about your life real quick. And Anything that's been interesting? You went to Arisia this weekend, right?
I went to Arisia this weekend, and it was super fun. I was like shocked by how fun it was because every time I go to a convention, I'm like, "There's too many people here, and I want to die." But I actually had a pretty good time, and like I feel like I've figured out how to life hack conventions at this point. Like I've really figured out the system of, okay, I did a little bit of socializing with complete strangers, and now it's time to go to somebody's hotel room and sit there with 3 people that I know for like 4 hours. Okay, now it's time to go do like a ton of interaction with strangers again. And like that was like sort of how I balanced it out, was by having like, I'd like do a panel, I'd talk to people after the panel, I'd like be performing on the panel. I did like a Metroid at 30 panel, which was fun.
How did that go?
I thought it was pretty good. I pretty much talked the entire time. I was also the only woman on the panel, so I was like, I don't feel bad about this.
That happens to you all the time.
It happened to me
Like
on almost every panel I was on. I was only on 3 panels, and for 2 out of 3 of them, I was the only woman on the panel. And also, I'm pretty sure all of the panelists were white, which is not great.
No, that's not great either.
It's not great. And then weirdly, the 3rd panel, which was the one that I was moderating and had pitched and had asked a friend to be on, was not. I don't know the ethnicities of everyone on the panel, but I can at least say like not everyone was American, so that was like helpful because not it was entirely like westernized view of indie games. It was an indie game advice panel,
Right.
and also it was 3 women and 2 guys. So I was like, this is a way better balance. I mean, like of people talking about indie games, and like I felt good about that panel. But the other 2 panels, I was like, I don't know, guys. I like
This is
Arisia
becoming
a
a rough
lot.
go.
I like Arisia a lot, but I like a couple of women panelists who are normally there just weren't there this year for a variety of reasons. And I get that there's a lot of turnover and stuff like this because doing panels kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So like people are like, I want to leave. And there are definitely times in my life when I'm like, I don't want to do panels. Why am I doing panels? But it's like a nice thing to do for your community, whether it's a local community, as Arisia is my like local nerd community.
I think doing panels is easier than when we used to do like full on stage shows for conventions. We did that for a long time. And I'll clarify for the viewers that it wasn't just ConnecticCon. We did it for a variety of cons where we came in and we like performed like, I don't know, like we did Repo, we did like the dating game, we hosted masquerades. We used to MC like a ton of shit. So I'll take a panel. I think panels are a little bit more, a little bit easier. You kind of just sit there and talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier. I think Arisia like runs stuff a little better because they try to actually have the panelists be kind of prepared. But then like not everybody gets that memo.
Yeah, Arisia does do that cool thing where they like actually look at the qualifications of the panelists, right? Like it's not just like somebody submits a panel and they're like, I want to do this panel on like this anime right now. You know, it's like whatever the subject is, they put people in there that are qualified to talk about whatever the subject is, right?
Yeah, but they still do accept applications from people who are just fans, and I'm not saying just in like a crappy way.
Like people that are just like doing it for fun.
Yeah, but they'll take people who are fans and like sort of give them a chance to see if they can be on a panel or not, and they'll like listen to reviews from people. But they also have people who are journalists or people who are in the industry, whatever creative industry is being talked about. And so you end up with this interesting blend of like, usually there's a couple fans and a couple industry people on a panel. So like for Metroid at 30, there were like 2 professional journalists, including me, and then 2 fans. So you ended up with like this interesting mix of like people who had thought about Metroid in a really critical lens versus people who were like, I just played Metroid as a kid and like here are my very anecdotal experiences playing Metroid like as a fan. And like that can be weird, but it also I think gives the audience something more to relate to.
Right.
I'm trying not to like be a dick here because like I don't want to like say that I think fans are not important, but I also like do this for a living, so I'm always like, okay, well,
I think it's different. It's like you do it professionally. Well, I mean, like
media analysis skills, so you're just
exactly.
like sitting there like, Well, as for me, I was pretty surprised that Samus is a girl, and I'm like, okay, like that perspective is valuable. Like it's good that we have somebody on the panel who's saying this because like that does represent a huge percentage of people who think about Samus. But also like there, I don't know, like I was a little disappointed that the panel didn't go beyond the basics. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I guess it's because I'm already thinking about this stuff constantly. But you know, it was pretty good. It was still pretty good. And a lot of people told me they really enjoyed the panel. So I was like, all right, I guess it was good.
That happens to you all the time. You're always like, I'm not sure how this went. And then afterwards, there's like a line of people being like, we really liked this show or panel you were in. You're like, well, I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought it went over.
And then, like,
you do this all the time.
A bunch of people who didn't interact with whatever I did are like, that was terrible. And I'm like, well, all right.
if you can get one person to come and talk to you and say that they liked it afterwards, I think that's I can't talk. Success.
Yeah. So. Speaking of you not talking, how are you doing, Ryan?
I'm drinking my coffee. I apparently didn't make it right because I woke up before Ben did, and I made the coffee, and it was like, you didn't put enough scoops in. I was like, how the hell do I know? So. Aww. But it's okay. It's a weird morning.
Caffeinated enough? You woke up so early. You woke up at 7:30.
Oh my god. Well, that's because the thing is that
our show doesn't start until 9.
I wanted to make sure I had enough time to walk the dog and like make my food and stuff, and then also like make sure this worked because last week it was like such a dramatic procedure that I was like, I want to make sure that we're sitting down and ready to go at least 10 minutes beforehand, or at least that I am, so I can make sure the settings aren't all messed up again. But it kind of goes on theme with everything this week. Like, you know, the WordPress site going down, so we had no website.
I'm still upset about that, honestly. I know that it's not something that's like a huge deal to our listeners because they probably all watch this on YouTube. So they're like,
yeah, it's actually really funny that well, not funny, but I think it's interesting that we're putting things on iTunes because I haven't downloaded podcasts in forever because I'll just do the audio only of a YouTube video because YouTube is kind of where it's at right now.
Yeah, so. But I don't mind catering to the people who
neither do I
just listen to audio only things.
I mean, I get it. Podcasts are nice.
Missing out on our faces.
No, you're not missing out on anything. Don't worry. Yeah, so it's been kind of a weird week of things. I cut my hand open this weekend.
Yeah, and you terrified me because you were like, I might get stitches. And then I was like,
it was not that bad.
Even have health insurance.
Okay, so I was like, I just pushed my hand into the garbage can to push the garbage down, and there was a can lid that was like flipped sideways, so my palm went into it.
Oh my god, you just instantly guaranteed that I'll never put my hand in to push the garbage down, a thing I have done like multiple times a day.
Don't do it. Ben's been telling me not to do it for years. Now I've learned. Okay, so I mean, it pulled it out. It didn't really hurt at any point during this, but it was bleeding a lot, and I was like texting Ben, and we were just talking about like pizza or something, you know, not a non sequitur, and like I was like, hold on, I think I need stitches. You need to call me immediately. And he's like, okay. So he calls and he's like, okay, is it like squirting blood? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, well, what is it doing? I'm like, I can't tell. I'm putting pressure on it. So he like told me
people that Ben is an EMT. It's not just that Ryan is.
Who's at work? Like,
and you're like, I have an emergency.
I'm like, leave your patient. I have a problem. I need to go to the ER. And so he's like, put pressure on it, hold it above your heart for a while. So I did that. And it did stop bleeding. And it like I looked a lot deeper when I first cut it, but then like at that point it didn't look deep at all. And he's like, send me a picture whenever it stops bleeding, and then we'll determine if we need to take you to the hospital or not. So I sent it to him, and it's like the size of like a paper cut.
Yeah, at that point it's like basically healed or on its way to healing.
Yeah, and I sent it to Ben, and he's like, I'm gonna cut your arm off.
You had to just be like, listen, it's deeper than you think. Bye. Go away. Get back to
work.
I
sent it to Steph too, who I was supposed to play Resident Evil with that night because we've been playing the raid mode of Revelations 2, which is really good. Are you
doing that online?
Yeah, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But I called her up and I was like, I can't play because I'm bleeding. My hand's bleeding everywhere. And she's like, all right, send me a picture.
Did you put stuff on it? Did you put like antibacterial stuff on it or whatever?
Ryan, no, it's fine.
Get really sick and go to the hospital because you might need like a tetanus shot or something. Okay.
Yeah,
just
well,
like,
I know.
Just like
I'm well aware. If there's anything you need to do, I run it by Ben first because he obviously
knows
more about this than either of us do.
A lot more because he has to do it for work. But like, and like, thank goodness because
I'm like a walking disaster
for my entire life, and I love you very much. But you fall down and hurt yourself constantly. So it's like ironic that you're now dating somebody who literally deals with emergencies for a living.
I
It
know.
seems good though. It seems like it's working out.
I mean, I think the funny thing here is that I've been the type of person that drops and hurts himself constantly, but I've never really actually injured myself yet. So I think that's the more impressive part. So
That's true. You're very durable.
I don't know how,
I
but
don't know. Practice? All right. Oh my
so
God. I like how the fact that it snowed is on this list and we skipped it. Can I just
well,
complain? I have 1 second of complaining. It
that's
snowed
fine. I'm
here.
gonna
It's going to
eat this egg
snow
sandwich I
this
got.
weekend. We were supposed to hang out this weekend and it's going to snow, potentially ruining this weekend.
Yeah, did you get that message about that?
Yeah. I didn't respond to it yet, but like if I were going to respond, I'd be like, Steph lives a 10-minute walk from me. So even if it's like 3 feet of snow on the ground, I could technically like
Yeah, it's a
walk
2-hour
over
drive
there.
for me.
I know, but like I could still show up there. So I was like, this actually doesn't really affect me, like my ability to go. I'm not going to be happy about walking to Steph's house in the snow. But Steph lives really close to me, and I never hang out with Steph because I'm a bad friend. However, Ryan has been playing video games with Steph all week on the internet, which even I could do, but I don't even
I know,
do
it's
that.
like, come on.
I know. I got to get it together. I have been playing a lot of Mario, though. Mario Maker. So.
I almost got that while she was visiting because she actually came down on Sunday. Because
It's awesome. It's not really a multiplayer game, but if you have people over locally, it's so fun. Because
I was gonna say
I
can't imagine playing it by myself. It seems like a game I would play with other people.
It's actually pretty fun by yourself too, to be honest, because you can just like set up a 10-man Mario, or that's what it's called, a 10-woman Mario if it's me, I guess. Except you have to play as Mario, you can't play as Peach. Those are the things about it that do annoy me for real. I'm not even.
Yeah, but can't you
it
get
does
like
bother me.
power-ups that change who you are?
Yes, but they are kind of stupid.
No.
So they don't
All
really
right.
look that good is the
Never
answer.
mind.
So like if you
The ad.
actually want the game to like look good, then you kind of have to play as Mario, and like it's sort of built for Mario inherently. So, and it's like really obvious from the design of the game that it's built for Mario. I don't know how to.
I mean,
like,
is Luigi
this.
an option? Because at least he's the gay one. So
Luigi's an option, Ryan. So you'll be
good.
included.
Mary Ellen, if you're listening,
like
Luigi's an option.
He's not. He's included in the same way that everybody else is included. Like, I don't know. I didn't mean to interrupt you to talk about Mario. Tell me about Steph. I still like Mario Maker, but I don't want to complain about it right now. You guys are playing like Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah, we're playing Revelations 2, which is the latest installment that features Claire Redfield and Barry Burton as the lead protagonists of this one. Mm-hmm. And they have a online multiplayer mode, which I don't even know if they've had it really in the past other than like the co-op on campaign. But they have this raid mode where you can kind of go and level up all the characters up to like level 100 or something, and you just go around and shoot zombies together, and it's actually really fun. Resident Evil really hasn't had this mode before, but it's great, and there's like maps. So I'm not a Call of Duty type of person that does first-person shooters, so this is kind of nice for me to have a game where we can like shoot zombies together.
That's really nice because Steph is a Call of Duty type person.
Well, she's good at like any game you hand her. I mean, like she's inherently good at games.
She's always been like super good. Okay.
Yeah.
She's always super good at like shooting games and fighting games, which is like.
She's good at platform games too. Like it's ridiculous. She's like
a fucking machine. I don't know. She's amazing.
I mean, in real life too.
Yes.
And while she was here, a Christmas tree blew across the road and hit her car. That was nice. So.
She also got a new job, apparently, so things are all right in Steph Town.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, Steph's doing great. Shout out to Steph, coolest gamer we know. What's up?
Anyway. I definitely, you recommend Mario Maker. I recommend this raid mode in Revelations 2.
That's cool. Maybe
that's the most about gaming we've ever talked about on this show. Was right there.
I'm like, let's stop. I try not to spend too much time gaming. I actually did spend a whole lot of time like playing piano this week, which has like been my resolution this week, or not this week, this year.
I need to do that with writing, and I'm just like not doing that.
I like spent a lot of time doing it because on Monday I was super depressed after Arisia. I think it was because of Arisia. I think it's also because it started snowing, and once it's winter and I can't go outside even if I wanted to, because there's too much snow, or it's like dangerous because I like fell on the ice recently and like hurt my arm and hip by falling on the ice. Like, it's not really, you shouldn't go walking outside if it's snowing. That's my hot tip.
Well, especially if you live in like
I
the
live
like
in the
suburbs of the
burbs
city.
now.
Like,
Yeah, so I live in the burbs, so like not everybody shovels their sidewalk, which is fine. Although I'm used to the city where like most people shovel their sidewalk because there's more people walking on the sidewalk, so people care. But here, people don't care. That's fine though. I don't blame them. I don't want to shovel.
I mean, there was that
So
time that you this is years ago, but you like wiped out and like somebody saw you and just like laughed. Like,
oh my god, that's like every day in Boston. So there are some benefits to not living directly in the city anymore. I'm like 12 minutes from the city now, which is all right. Anyway, I can't even talk about any topic without immediately derailing to talk about personal injuries.
oh my God.
The point is, I felt really depressed on Monday. Like I like did a like random deep wave of depression and I don't know why. And I was like, I'm just going to play the piano. And it didn't necessarily make me feel better at the time, but like in retrospect, I think it was the right thing to do
I mean, it was
because
also a
I
weird
felt
week.
like garbage. And I was like, I'm just going to play some songs until I feel better because like that is just something to spend time doing while I'm waiting for the depression to go away.
Yeah.
It kind of worked. I guess I don't know, like I eventually started feeling better, but it didn't really seem like a direct result, but like in retrospect, I'm glad that's how I spent the time as opposed to like scrolling through Twitter,
Yeah.
you know? Because I feel like that always makes it worse. Like 100% of the time if I'm depressed and I scroll through Twitter, it gets worse.
See, it's not Twitter for me. It's like if I spend too much time on my YouTube subscription feed, I'm like, and I get depressed because I'm like, oh wait, why am I not working on these projects that we were working on? And then I get like annoyed about that, but then I don't do anything about it, and
that
that's the
happens
bigger
to me
issue.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
I like look at other people and I'm like, either I think, wow, the world's a terrible place and we're all gonna die, which is not productive. Or
I do that too.
Or I think, wow, everybody else is doing way better stuff than I am, and I should just disappear. And like, that's the worst. Like, what?
There was a period of time for me, especially towards the end of November of this past year, where I was like, what's the point in like even like talking to people? And I was like,
that was around when we started this show.
I know. We were like, we need something to move forward with. I don't know. It's like, it's weird how depression works because there's no real method to the madness other than knowing how to deal with it and be constructive with it when you know there's a wave coming on. And it's just that you got to kind of change your battle techniques every single time it happens. Just like with OCD.
Battle technique.
I think it's more like a war zone in your brain. So
yeah, and like I'm trying to work out more, but it's honestly harder for me now that there's snow on the ground. Because I made my resolution last week on this show. I was like, I'm gonna go for walks. Now I can't go for walks.
Well, okay,
like
so this is a good time to do our workout tips then, because I think it's a good transition. It also, I wanted to talk about the fact that what I do, and I actually picked this up from Ben recently, is that I don't really work out exclusively. Like, I don't set a time that's like from this time I'm gonna work out, except for when I'm like either running or on the cycling bike. What I do now is that like literally we have the weights and stuff around the house. So whenever I'm home or working from home, I literally set it so like after a certain period of time, I like will stop whatever I'm doing, and then I'll do like a set of crunches or weightlifting or like jump roping or anything like that, just because like throughout the entire day, like it's not like one stretch except for the cardio part, and that kind of gives you like a good boost of energy because it breaks you away from whatever shit you're doing that's probably making you feel worse.
Yeah, like sitting there and being sedentary, which
even if you're working, because I know you have to write from home a lot, so like even stopping for like 20 seconds to do a set of 20 reps.
I was like talking to Geeta recently about like potentially buying Dance Dance Revolution or the Connect one. I'm apparently so out of touch that I don't remember what the different ones are called.
It's called Just Dance, I think. That's the one that everyone's into.
Or Dance Central, I think is the
something
one
like that. Yeah.
And she was like, you could just put on one song in between like every article you write.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 songs a day, which is like not amazing, but like not bad. That's like 20 minutes of cardio, and it's 20 more minutes of cardio than I'd be doing on a normal day when I literally sit for 8 hours.
Right, and
which
that's
is not good.
I
It's
think
not
Gita's got it right though. Like I'm
She
totally
was
on board
so
with
right,
her.
and I was like amazed by how correct she was. And I
Well,
was
okay, have
like,
you been okay, for anybody that doesn't know who Gita is, she's one of our mutual friends. She's also a writer
amazing.
and she's great. And like she recently started like working out and taking care of herself.
I know
And
she's like tweeting about planks and stuff, and I'm like,
oh
Gita's
god,
doing a
it's so
great
great.
job.
Like and
I'm
every single
not
time
doing any of that.
I'm like, you're inspiring me.
I
So,
know. I gotta
you
start
know,
doing planks. All
what
right.
kind of tip do you have for this week?
Um, I mean, I'm not gonna do a plank on the show, but like, I guess that's a hot tip from Gita is do planks. If you don't know what planks are, it's like if you're about to do a push up, but you just don't
Whoops.
go down. You just sit there in the push up mode with your body straight. So like you want to look like a I don't know a right angle triangle, a right triangle,
Yep.
and your body's the hypotenuse of that triangle, and your arms are the short end. And so keeping your body straight is actually pretty hard to do. So something you want to kind of be conscious of.
Right.
So but just stay in that position. And if you want to do like different kinds of planks, you can do one where your arms are bent on the ground, so like
Yeah.
you're like this but you're on the ground, obviously. There's different ones you can do, and like while I'm describing that, you're probably thinking, that's not too hard. I could sit in that position or whatever, lie in that position forever. Try it. Because you're not going to be able to do it for more than like 10 seconds if you're new at this. And if you can do it for a full minute, then you're like a boss of the world. My mom was telling me she was working up to doing planks for a minute. My mom is an ageless vampire, by the way,
I
who's
wish
in
we
like
could show a picture of her.
ridiculously good shape. We could do that. It'd be kind of creepy, but
I,
we could
I
do that.
got I got your Christmas card this year, and Ben was
My
like,
mom,
who's that's like, is that her sister? It's like,
yeah,
no,
like
that's her
who's that
mom.
beautiful young woman on our Christmas card? It's my mom who can do planks for like a minute. I don't know if she can do it now, but she was telling me she was doing this workout where she was like working up to do planks for a minute. And I was like, Mom, I've never been able to do a plank for a minute. Like what? Okay, way to like make me feel like I was
Yeah,
inspired
your
by
mom's
it.
also like sending pictures of herself like dancing and like swing dancing. So
Yeah, my mom does ballroom. My mom's amazing. Shout out to my mom if she ever listens to this. Anyway, so
shout out
that's
to
a
all
hot
mom.
tip. That's a hot tip from Gita and also my mom, I guess. But I'm not gonna do that now. I'm gonna do some squats, I guess. What's your tip? You were just doing
Yeah,
some
I can't do what I was gonna do a tip on either. Or sorry, I can't show it. So I'll
yeah.
describe it to the best that I can because I did try it before I started the show. But Ben was showing me also this type of push up you do where you put your legs up like on a couch. That's what we use, and then you're facing the floor and you're doing like standard push ups, except for the legs are like already on the couch, so you're kind of in a straight, very very straight parallel. I don't know, parallel to the floor is the best way I could describe it.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and you just keep on doing that, and your feet don't touch the floor because you're just moving your arms essentially, and your legs aren't really moving at all because they're just straight like a board. And I did them, and they feel really good, but they're also kind of hard.
Yeah, they're super hard. I've done those before with like a chair. It's
Yeah.
kind of dangerous, but you just lean the chair up against a wall or like put it between a couple things.
Well,
Doing
if you
it
got
from
a
the
couch, use your couch because that's probably not going to move.
Probably not.
Unless you're me and you see like a bee or something, and then suddenly I get like super strength and I like kick everything out of the way. So
Yeah, Ryan's scared of bees.
yeah,
Anyway,
speaking
so
of which,
just
last
like
night I went to bed on time and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to bed on time. And then I heard the buzzing and Ben was asleep. So I had to go find what was a wasp flying around the room. This
okay,
is the
that's
third one
still
this winter.
terrifying. Wasps are scary too.
They
but
are.
also-
And it was like dead because it's like cold and it was like dying. But like Lyra was looking for it. I was looking for it. And Ben's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. I can't sleep now. So that happened.
Oh.
Of course, right?
I was up late because I was hanging out with some coworkers at a party where I thought, not coworkers, former coworkers. I was hanging out with some of my former coworkers from the Phoenix. At a party where I thought there was going to be food. There wasn't food, so I didn't have dinner for like 4 hours.
Oh God, that's the worst.
I went home. I got home.
You drinking too?
Like 11:30 because I was only hungry. So I'm just gonna stand around here for 4 hours talking to a bunch of drunk people. It was really fun though. I had a great time. So I got home at 11:30. to Zach and a friend of his playing Mario Maker. Still, that was like what they were doing when I left. And I was like, wow, you guys are still playing this? And then I sat down, ate a bunch of potato chips at 11:30, had some orange juice, felt like shit immediately. I don't recommend any of the things I just said. Don't skip dinner for 4 hours and then come home and eat a bunch of potato chips and have a glass of orange juice and expect
I've done that with French fries. Yeah, same deal.
Don't expect your body to like what's happening. So that happened, and then I was like, now I have to stay up even later because I need to like wait for my stomach to stop feeling like I just threw a bunch of sugar into it, which is what happened. And then like, well, but I really needed something to eat, so I was like, whatever, this is here, and I'm too hungry to care. And so I just like stayed up until like 1 or 2 playing Mario.
Oh, that's what I normally do. And Ben's like, you going to bed? I'm like, sure. And then I just play video games in bed.
And then at 1 a.m., the Street Fighter V beta went up.
Oh, God.
And Zach started playing it, and I got really mad. And I was like, Zach, I have to get up. It was like 1:20, actually, or 30. And he was plugging in his fight stick. And I was like, you have to get up earlier than I do. What are you doing?
Okay, but Zach has like an insane amount of energy, and we don't know where it comes from.
I don't know. So like that was what happened, and it was so irresponsible. Like it's been a really long time since I stayed up late playing video games. Like it's been a while. It's not been a while for me. I try to like if I'm staying up late. I've said on this show I'm reading a book. But like I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about this Wonder Woman trailer.
Okay, yeah, let's move on to the morning news. That's a good idea. We've been talking about how badly we slept all morning.
I talk about myself constantly. I'm sorry.
Sorry, me too. But you're right. So right before we started the show this morning, the new Wonder Woman like sneak peek of the actual movie, not Batman v Superman, went live, and Ben and I watched it. I sent it to Maddie, and I was expecting this Wonder Woman thing to look terrible, just like this stupid movie that's coming out is
Batman v Superman, which I really don't like.
Just for a fun story, I was at the bar with Steph, and there was a commercial that played for it, and it was just like them staring at each other, and then dramatic silence, and they said Batman v Superman. I laughed so hard that everyone had to look at me, and they were like, "Yeah, that does look pretty terrible." But like everyone agreed with me. But so I was expecting that for the Wonder Woman sneak peek, and I'm actually a little excited about it because it seems to me that they understand who Wonder Woman is, at least, which I was not expecting, because usually they don't get it right.
I wasn't expecting that either, and like there's still time for them to screw it up, or they might be screwing it up. I don't know, but they have a woman director, it's Patty Jenkins,
and and she said something really interesting about how Wonder Woman is a very kind and caring person, but it doesn't like negate how powerful and strong she is.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that they're keeping that, because it's really hard to balance that with Wonder Woman, because like she grows up in this place that's completely different from where we live.
Right.
So a lot of times Wonder Woman stories are going to be like a sort of comedy fish out of water story. Like a lot of people, I don't know if people have seen the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, but for whatever weird reason I have. And like that's a lot of the early episodes are like almost funny fish out of water stuff where it's like, oh, Wonder Woman doesn't understand how horrible our society is. And like that can be like an interesting premise, although it does seem like they're going a little darker with it. Like she's still a fish out of water, but it's set in World War I. So like that's one of the worst wars, because it was when we started using mustard gas, and like there was like a bunch of trench warfare that was like just endless stalemates and like lots and lots and lots of people dying, and like it wasn't super clear who our enemy was. And like I think that it was a little bit different for World War II. There's an article in IO9 about this, about how like the politics of World War I were really different. So like the war that she's coming in on is one where people are already really frustrated and like being treated terribly. So like she's really seeing an example of how humanity sucks.
Right.
And like that's what the story of Wonder Woman is her coming from Themyscira and being like, oh, this is why everybody I know lives on an island away from this shit.
Like, with no men.
Yeah. This is what everybody's trying to get away from, is like toxic masculinity. Oh, I understand now. And like that's like an interesting concept. And I think it's one that people are kind of afraid of, because they're like, usually if Hollywood doesn't want to acknowledge that toxic masculinity exists, they're like, what are you talking about? Masculinity's awesome. Masculinity's like Top Gun, and like it's fun.
Yeah, but you can't have that in a Wonder Woman story, period.
No,
It
in a
doesn't
Wonder
work.
Woman story, you have to be like, no, actually, the way that men are socialized is bad and terrible, and this is why. You have to like literally say that, and like
I know.
I think people are going to be uncomfortable about that. But like, it's interesting that they're actually seemingly going to do that.
It would be interesting if Wonder Woman was the only thing they got right, because so far they are not doing that with Batman and Superman. So it would be
maybe they are. Maybe Batman v Superman is actually about toxic masculinity. And
actually,
like
it's about how Clark
Kent.
It's about how Batman and Superman are making out. That's what the show is. The whole movie's about that.
Right.
It's just endless makeout sessions.
It's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be that.
They actually just posted. Well, I can dream, okay. But they actually just posted like the Dawn of Justice trailer too, or whatever. So like, there was like a poster with Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman and the Flash and Cyborg and Aquaman, and it's like,
all right, yeah.
I guess they're all in this movie, guys.
Are you excited for that?
Not for Batman v Superman, but I'm excited for Wonder Woman.
Well, are you excited for like all the Justice League movies that they're planning to do? Because they're going to do like 2 after this, which is like, you're betting a lot on this, DC.
I that's how I feel about it too, because like they had a rocky start with the Superman movie, and like Batman doesn't even get a starter movie; he just shows up in a Superman movie.
Yeah, I think they're just assuming that we like know who Batman is, which
is fair. Like, I mean, we can't really argue that, and you know, there's so many other venues to watch Batman right now that whatever. I don't really care about that.
Yeah, I don't mind that Batman is the one getting short shrift. He's had plenty of movies. So.
Exactly, and we all know the reason they're doing this is because of the Avengers movies. Although the one thing that DC at least has going for the Marvel movies is that they're already jumping on the wagon and getting a superhero that's a woman in her own title film.
They are going to release Wonder Woman before Marvel gets
which Marvel's like at the 10-year mark, and they still haven't done that. And
they still haven't done a Black Widow movie in spite of like considering it for like 5 years, and like they might consider it for the next 10 years. And it's like, are you guys?
I don't know. It's a little weird how like the Marvel movies keep on like not really including the female superheroes in the spotlight, and instead kind of make jokes about them, which we don't need to get into that right now, because you and I will talk about that for hours, because we do that already.
I will say that I'm like kind of hopeful about the Wonder Woman movie, and I know people are upset because Gal Gadot is like a complete unknown, and like
but you know who else was an unknown? Hugh Jackman was an unknown, and he was a fantastic Wolverine. You know, so
really good.
Maybe Gal Gadot's gonna be good.
Was relatively unknown as Superman, and even though I thought his movie sucked, I think he's a really good actor. Like, I think he did a really good job with that. Even though I really didn't like the script for that movie, I thought the plot was bad, but I thought he did a good job in it, and I believed him as Superman, except for all of the things Superman was doing, which I didn't believe. I realize this doesn't make sense. My point is, I'm willing to take a chance on an unknown actor, and I'm not going to discount somebody before I see them. If I see them and they suck, all bets are off, obviously. But like, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful about the fact that it's got a female director. I don't know if it had a woman writer. Usually Hollywood does this thing where if a woman wrote the screenplay, they'll have a guy direct it, or if a guy wrote the screenplay, they'll have a woman direct it, which is like stupid.
It's a little weird.
It's like, okay, if you have a woman writing the screenplay and directing it, because you do that with men all the time. So like, what? So I have a bad feeling that probably a guy wrote Wonder Woman, because that's usually how it works. But maybe it was like some awesome guy who is like Ben and has read all of the Wonder Woman canon. Maybe Ben wrote it. In my head canon,
I mean,
Ben wrote
I wish he did, because that would probably be like the best possible script
if I had to pick a guy to write the Wonder Woman movie.
I'm just going to tell him to go write one right now in advance.
Yeah, he should have written a spec script and sent it in like 5 years ago. But I mean, we all never would have thought a Wonder Woman movie would happen 5 years ago.
No.
Which
and they also
cool, I guess. That's what making one. I remember watching that animated movie with you guys.
Which
Do you remember
one?
that animated one? It came out in like 2010.
Oh yeah, the Wonder Woman. That's a great.
It's a great movie, and it has Nathan Fillion as what's his face, the role that Chris Pine's playing, Steve Trevor.
Yes.
Nathan Fillion voices Steve Trevor, and like the plot of that movie honestly seems a lot like what they're about to do. more or less.
I mean, I hope
like
so.
it's set in a different time period. But I remember the three of us watching that animated movie and Ben being like, why don't they just remake this exact movie but live action and put it on the big screen? And we were all like, Ben, shut up, that's never gonna happen. And like now it kind of is happening. So shout out to Ben, I guess.
And for those of you who haven't seen this animated film, you should get it. It's like probably $10. It's like it's really good.
It's not perfect, but it's really good, and it's probably one of the better like feature-length Wonder Woman scripts I've seen. It might be the only one. It's like one of the only ones. It's that and the Linda Carter movie, which I would say doesn't hold up, but you could watch the Linda Carter movie if you think it's like
we can do that on a throwback sometimes. I don't even think I've seen that one, so
I don't necessarily recommend it.
They also released the Suicide Squad trailer, the new one.
I haven't seen this yet. Tell me what it's like. Is it good? Is there like 6 minutes of Harley Quinn, which is all I care about?
There's more Harley Quinn in this one. It's funnier than the other one, which was like a Cirque du Soleil piece. They incorporate oh god, I can't remember what the song that was using. I'm blanking right now. I think it was Queen, but it was funny, and Ben is really excited about it. I'm still not sold.
Me either.
Mostly because Harley Quinn is still not like. She's still like skanky Harley Quinn with no accent, and
that's fine with me. I
know it's fine with you, but I'm like, I'm such a god. This is where I'm
put her in a turtleneck. That's what Harley Quinn wears.
I know. I really love the '90s animated series, so that's why I associate with her.
And I do really like Harley's old school outfit because it was attractive only to the Joker, and that was how she was supposed to be. She wasn't supposed to be wearing a conventionally attractive outfit. She was supposed to be wearing a weird thing.
Also, it seems
Joker
like
was into.
From the trailer, it seems like the Joker is like a main character. Which I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
I knew that going in, and like that far more so than however Harley Quinn dresses, whether she's wearing literally underwear or not, bothers me way more because I don't care about the Joker. Like, I don't want to watch him abuse Harley because that's what their relationship is him being abusive, and like that's not fun to watch. Like, it's shitty.
Although I do like in a lot of the recent incarnations of Harley Quinn, both in the comic books and games and even TV that she's been appearing in.
She's been pretty good in those.
Well, but she's also not with the Joker anymore. Like, she's over the Joker. She's been far over, and she's
with the Joker. She's living with Poison Ivy now,
and she's like also actively angry at the Joker and like hates him. So like like whenever they see each other, she's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," and it's always good. So maybe that's happening. If that happens, that's awesome.
I don't think so because this is based on the Suicide Squad comics, which I haven't read, but all that I know about them is that people are like, they're super violent, and I'm like, okay, great. Like, it's just gonna be the Joker like killing a bunch of people, I guess. Like, that's what I predict it's gonna be. I could read those comics. I'd rather like stick with the comics I'm reading now, honestly, because I don't care about the Joker and I don't really want to read a comic about him. I don't know. People let me know if it's good. Maybe I
like X-Men.
Yeah, but like I also like Marvel more than DC. But there's some DC stuff I'll read. I really like the Catwoman comics they've done.
There's also another movie coming out that's straight to DVD. That's the third installment of those Batman and Robin films that have been coming out. And it's Batman Bad Blood, which I had not heard of, but Batwoman is in it as one of the main characters. So now I'm incredibly interested. Just so you know.
I didn't even know about this. I mean, it's like an animated thing, obviously. They would
right,
never
but Batwoman
in a
I mean, that's all I care about.
Yeah,
I did see that Batgirl makes a cameo too, so
that's really cool. All right, maybe I'll check that out. They continue to make like straight to DVD or straight to streaming these days animated movies.
What's going to end up happening is we'll end up getting it and you're going to come over and watch it. That's what's going to end up happening.
That sounds great. We'll talk about it on the show.
Provided it doesn't snow.
This is coming to be the time of year where that is the constant concern.
Yep.
Every time we make plans, we'll be like, well, unless it snows, and like that's just going to be a thing. Anyway, should we like skip ahead to reader mail?
Yeah. Well, we don't really have any.
All right. Well, Sky sent us a recipe.
Sky sent us a recipe.
We should post it on the blog because it's super long.
It is really long, but it's hold on, it's for nachos, and
So she sent us some more information about nachos, but if you scroll down, the recipe is actually for cookies.
Oh, okay, you're right. Okay, you're right about
It's
that.
cool. It's cool. I read it.
I read
Brian,
it too, and I just like forgot about that part. I just read the nachos part, and then I was like,
she starts
nachos.
out telling us some stuff about nachos, which I will read.
Yeah, but these are the what are they? The Carmel Heavenlies? Is that what they were?
Yeah, so she sent us a recipe for caramel heavenlies, which we can post on the blog. It's like a caramel cookie, but her nacho recipe is white corn tortilla chips, black beans, Monterey Jack cheese, cilantro, jalapeno, and tapatio sauce.
Tapatio. Tapatio.
Tapatio. So that is a way fancier nacho than what I've been making. I tweeted this already, but mine is just multigrain scoops, diced green and red bell pepper, like not a whole one, just like some of one, and then some onion, and then some mixed Mexican cheese from Market Basket. And
That's more or less what I do.
it, pop
I
it
mean,
in the
it's
microwave for like 45 seconds, and you are donezo. And it is not a bad. It's not a bad snack slash lunch.
yeah.
Depending on how hungry
Apparently, I
you
mean,
are.
because I've been making nachos since I was like a teenager, and that was like what all of our friends apparently associate with coming over to my house, which I was like, really? But
Yeah, really? I don't
yeah,
think I
but
ever had
like,
nachos at your house.
no, both Katie and Steph were like, oh, well, like, that's like when we used to eat nachos at your house, and I was like, really? So
Well,
apparently,
we
like,
used to
I
eat
just,
nothing but garbage at your house, so it makes perfect sense that we would have had nachos as
I
well.
mean, back then we were eating Oreos as meals, so that's not really fair. But anyway, Sky, we'll post these to the YouTube feed afterwards in the
Yeah,
description because this looks
absolutely.
really good.
It does look really good, and I love cookies. I love cookies with anything in them.
I know you're like a cookie holic.
I am a cookie holic, and I refuse to quit.
um, so wait, I do want to talk about this quick, at least cover a little bit. But Alan Rickman died this week,
Oh yeah, I
and
watched Galaxy Quest. That movie's awesome.
I have not watched anything with him in it since he passed away because I'm terrible, I guess. But
No, it's fine.
um,
But Galaxy Quest is really, really great. Have you seen it in general?
I saw it a long time ago. I've not
You
seen it
should watch
recently.
it again.
But you and a couple other people were like, Ryan, go watch Galaxy Quest again.
It's
So
on Netflix, so
I was gonna
anybody
say
can
it's on
watch it.
Netflix. I liked
You would
him in
really dig it.
I liked him when he was Metatron. That was my favorite role he was in.
Yeah, he was really good as Snape, which is like the obvious pick. He's really good in that Sense and Sensibility
Hmm.
adaptation that he's in, which is like, even if you're somebody who doesn't like romances, it's a really good adaptation. Has a lot of really good people in it. But he's great in it. But it's not one of those situations where Alan Rickman's the best thing in that movie. I feel like with Harry Potter, that's kind of true, and with Galaxy Quest, it's also true.
I think
Um,
I think he's good in anything he's in. He was
he's
also really
been
great
good
in
in
that.
everything.
He was great in Hitchhikers also.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
That's Ben's favorite
The
role that he was in.
depressed robot. He's so
Yeah,
good in that, and like, it, it's sad because like it's weird with David Bowie dying and Alan Rickman dying because like those are two very different kinds of artists, but they're both people who have always been a really big fan of. So it's like really weird that they both died, and
it's really weird that there's been. I mean, I guess it's not really weird because
it's a
we are
little
older
weird because
now.
they weren't that old. They were both 69, which is kind of old, but like
That is
relatively young.
right, but also we've lost there's been a lot of celebrities and idols that we grew up with that just passed away in this past year period. Because I mean, there's a Robin Williams,
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, Wes Craven, which hit me the hardest because that's what got me into horror. Um, Joan Rivers, and then it's just Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I think it's been a rough year in terms of that, especially for us nerds.
Yeah, and like, people our age recognizing our own mortality, which is always like soup's fun. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an article I wrote it last week before everything crashed, and I had to upload it yesterday because that's when I could do it again. But I just wrote this thing that I posted up on my blog, which is at thecaffeineiv.com, where I'm talking about how we're kind of like surrounded by death, and whenever this much death happens, we kind of question our own mortality, and then we start questioning everything we're doing with our lives. And I kind of write about that and how the only thing you can do is just sort of continue to live the best way that you can, and try not to worry about the little things because it's not worth it in the long run, and all it does is
isn't.
shorten your
Yeah,
lifespan.
you've
So
also said some stuff that like we've said on this show a little bit, which is like if you're at work or like in the middle of something, but you really want to go do something creative for a couple minutes, like we've said on the show, like just go do something for 2 minutes or go do
yeah,
something for 5 minutes, whether it's like playing a Dance Central song. If you're like, I want to work out more, like just go do it right now.
Exactly.
Or like go play the piano right now. Go play one song or like whatever it may be. And like you said that in the post, and like it's something I always try to do. But when you're actually working or like in the middle of whatever thing you're doing, washing the dishes,
you feel like you have to do that.
I'm too busy right now. And it's like, no, you're not too busy to do something for 5 minutes probably.
Exactly. And I was also talking about how like a lot of the times I'll be driving around and I'm like, I'll see a landmark or something. I'm like, that thing looks so cool. And I pass it all the time, but I don't have time to like get out and look at it because like I need to get home and put my laundry and or something stupid like that. And it's like, no, just park for 2 seconds, go look at the thing. Like, you know, it's like, it's all these the tasks that we have to do that are responsibilities as adults. We still have to do them, obviously, because that's part of being an adult. But like, you shouldn't also shorten your ability to sort of be spontaneous and let yourself live a life. You know what I mean? Like,
I do. And like, I think people feel like it has to take a really long time. And I can't emphasize enough that it really doesn't have to. Like a lot of these things, like you can just stop at the landmark for like a little bit and you're going to have a really good memory of that. Like
exactly.
Going to someplace by yourself quietly and just like looking at a public park for a second is so great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, and we could be depressed and sad about all these deaths, or we can take away from it and kind of be like, okay, what this is telling me is that I need to live better. Like I need to
seize the day.
Exactly. And as two people that do battle like anxiety and depression, I think, you know, we have to do what we can to kind of break those cycles and make sure that we don't feel miserable. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And like, I feel proud of myself for managing to do that this week. Like, even though I was really depressed about like something, I don't know.
It's like, you don't even know sometimes. And that's the stupid part about it. And it's like, but we still have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's annoying.
Well, anyway, this took a dark turn. Welcome to Insomniacs in the morning.
I don't know. I think it's like ultimately uplifting.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, in conclusion, Mary Ellen is a really great person.
We
didn't talk about Mary Ellen enough on this show.
We also didn't talk about the Cloverfield sequel that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I didn't even know that was happening.
Nobody did. It was a complete surprise. J.J. Abrams like intentionally didn't tell anyone that he's making.
That's like, I mean, that's kind of great. I'm a little excited.
It's super great. So like he did that, and like there's gonna be another Cloverfield. Did I see that with you? I think I did.
No.
I saw it with you and the other Ryan.
No, you didn't see it with me because the first time I saw it was with Ben, and it was like I didn't see it in theaters.
All right. Well, I saw it in theaters with the other Ryan, who's not you and is the polar opposite of you in every way, and like somebody else who I thought was you, but it must have been like Caro or somebody. I don't know.
It was Ryan 3, the third Ryan.
It was the third mystery Ryan. I saw it with like 6 other Ryans. You weren't there. Don't worry about it.
And they were all my clones. Don't worry. Also, I want to touch on this too before I forget. Star Wars Undercover Boss. Please tell me that's now canon.
Okay, so I don't even normally like SNL sketches, but I definitely recommend this one. If you don't know why everybody's still talking about Adam Driver and like you're sick of it, then like maybe it won't be funny, but Adam Driver was on SNL and he did this Star Wars sketch. I don't even want to tell anybody anything about it. Just watch it. It's so good.
It's really good.
I also was like trying to think of another example. Like, has anybody ever done this? And while I was watching it, I was like trying to imagine, like, what if Harrison Ford, like, as a young man had like gone on SNL and like done a sketch about being Han Solo? Like, would that have ever happened?
I don't know, but how it worked for this
never would have happened, right? Like, did it happen? And then I was like, this is like a weird thing. Like
I know, but and it's so funny because I'm like, so does this make it canon? Because please tell me it does. Because
I was like,
funny.
I was like trying to think of like, I mean, we've all seen like 1,000 Star Wars parodies, but this is probably the first time I've seen a Star Wars parody where an actor who canonically
is playing himself.
Yes, like he's not even like playing a different Star Wars character. He's literally playing his own character and like acting exactly as that character would because he's the actor. So like he literally can portray his character.
I know, it was so good.
So that was the part of it that like kind of blew my mind a little bit.
And I think it also like made me respect him a little bit more as an actor too, because like he went from this, he's still playing the same character, which was a serious character in the film, but then still played the same character exactly the same in a comedic role.
I know,
and it worked like, really well.
Sort of exaggerate it, like just acting wise, I was really impressed by like everything that went into that. I don't know. Also, like doing live comedy is so different from doing a movie where you can shoot over and over again. Like there are a lot of actors who go on SNL and completely bomb because they're like not used to that theatrical format, because you're essentially doing theater at that point.
Right.
And like there were like a couple of stumbles, but overall he nailed it. And I was like pretty impressed. Anyway, it was great. People should check it out. Adam Driver is a better actor than I thought he was. The end.
He's he was fantastic. So
I already thought he was good, but he's even better than I thought he was.
I don't have it in here, but like after I saw that skit, I was like, I might need a Kylo Ren figurine. So I got one.
Oh my god. I want like a figurine of the character that he plays in the sketch. I'm not gonna say
that's what I want too, like essentially.
People should watch it.
That's gonna be my Halloween costume probably.
Okay, Ryan, why did you put Madonna on this list? I have to go soon, but like, why did you?
Okay,
put Madonna?
So we didn't have a throwback this week, and
my throwback was Galaxy Quest, which I already recommended.
That's a good throwback, and I'm gonna watch that now because I don't remember much about it other than the rock monsters. But
that's like 2 seconds of the movie.
Okay,
so I think you need to rewatch it.
I saw it 20 years ago.
Did the rock monsters play a huge role in Galaxy Quest? Okay, it's funny, like the things that you remember as a kid. And
now I'm joking. Great.
You rewatch it and you're like, wow, that was like a second. Ryan, are you okay?
No, you made me laugh really hard, and then I choked on an egg.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So Ben and I were watching Who's That Girl because I bought it for him for Christmas because I've never seen that movie. It's from the 80s. And he said,
I've never seen it.
Okay, well, I didn't even hear about it. And he was like, right, I need to see this movie. It's you. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, which whenever we watch like any 80s film, Ben's like, right, I need to watch this movie. It's you. Because like 80s film are just like wacky, nonsensical, magical, nothing makes any sense. It's kind of like all the writing I do.
Slapstick stuff and yeah.
It kind of made me realize that a lot of the writing I do for Gino is similar to that. But this movie features Madonna, who plays this like punk rebel type who gets out of jail, and and I guess she was framed by this other like rich dude. I'm not really wasn't really clear what she got framed in doing because it didn't really explain that part. But the rich dude has his like soon to be son-in-law like transport her to the bus station, but since she's a rebel and this guy's like a geeky lawyer, he's like he doesn't like fight her at all on the fact that she's taking the car and driving to the mall and like stealing tape cassettes and like doing all these terrible things, waving guns around. He's like, you should probably stop doing that. So it's like a whole movie about like this nerd with this like punk rebel girl, and they just keep on getting themselves into like copious amounts of like really ridiculous like situations. Like there's gang members chasing them, and then there's like the guy trying to like get a new apartment with his soon-to-be wife who's like kind of like this rich girl that also there's this joke that she's sleeping with the entire town, and like it just doesn't make any sense. Then there's mountain lions, and like Madonna can control the mountain lions.
Wait, what?
I'm trying my best to explain this movie, but I really can't. And like Ben tried to explain it to me too, but like he was just like, well, Madonna might have some magic powers. I'm like, what's happening? But it's really great because it's like wacky in the sense of like it's like every 80s film that's just like, here's the plot, and it's like the plot just kind of like immediately like disintegrates, and then it's like just
and it's like a series of funny situations that
and it goes from one thing to another, and again it's like one of those situations where like the movie shouldn't work as a film that you'd want to continue watching, but it does because like they don't make film like this anymore where it's like wacky, nonsensical slapstick situations happening in a row.
I think they try, but then it's really bad. Like the result is stuff like Paul Blart Mall Cop, which I assume is that, but I don't want to watch it.
Well, let's just assume that in the 80s there was a lot of drugs involved.
I think that, a lot of cocaine, so everybody was like, all right, let's do another line and write another scene. Like I
know, and it's kind of like that, and it's it is good.
For a lot funnier. I don't recommend drugs, but like
I agree.
People were doing in the 80s made things way funnier.
The entire soundtrack is obviously vocalized by Madonna, so like every single time they go into like a chase scene. It's like a Madonna song.
Oh my god,
that
that's
they
gonna
wrote for
be
the
really
movie.
weird because like Madonna's playing a punk rock kid, but then there's like a bunch of like
She
pop
does it really
music.
well too. This is one of the things I always forget about Madonna is that she's actually like a decent actress as well.
Yeah, in some ways, I think she's like a better actress than other things that she does. Like, I know
Yeah,
you love her music, but I'm like, it's fine. It's
you
not.
would really like this just because she's playing a punk type, and
Oh,
she's
like
really good at it.
she's pretty good in like Evita, which is like a movie that I watched 1,000 times as a child, and
Yeah,
like that's like a serious role, and like she's a pop star. So
exactly.
it's weird that she was like even passable in that. So
Yeah.
yeah, and she's been in some other stuff too, I think.
Well, I
Anyway,
recommend the movie. I can't describe it in any other kind of way.
you
If you
did
ask me,
pretty well.
I don't know. It's like whenever I try and describe an '80s movie, it's just like all over the place, and the things I remember like may not even have anything to do with the plot. But that's also like what the '80s film was about, was just random shit happening.
Yeah.
So I recommend it.
can't
It's probably
remember
hard to
that.
find now. It took me like I could have just ordered it on Amazon, so you can do it that way. But like it's not available for streaming anywhere.
Well,
Um,
that sucks. All right,
but
I'll just buy a used DVD somewhere. Oh
uh,
wait, there's no
well,
Blockbusters
I
anymore.
was gonna say I'll lend it to
Boo!
you. I'll lend it to you like we did with Night of the Comet,
I
which you
still
can
have Night of the Comet. I
you can
watched
keep
part of
it.
it.
You can
All
keep
right.
it
I mean, it's
because
not like I'm going anywhere.
I bought them the
Like
Blu-ray.
it's
So
not like I'm gonna like disappear and you're gonna be like, when am I gonna get Night of the
yeah,
Comet
I'll be
back?
like, I wish I still hung out with that Maddie Myers lady. Like I only knew her for a couple years, and like we just kind of fell out of touch.
It's like not gonna happen. Like you don't need to worry about Night of the Comet going anywhere. I know exactly where it is. It's on my DVD shelf. Like, don't worry. I'm keeping it safe.
That's
Come
fine.
over
It's
and we'll
yours
watch
now.
it.
So
I've seen part of it, so now I'm like, I know what happens in Night of the Comet, but I have to like watch all of it.
it's good.
It is good. All right.
It's also another wacky '80s film. So
It is, but I think it's more of a horror parody. There's more horror elements in it. It's not like a comedy in the same way.
no, I mean it is serious at parts. But like it's like a horror of the '80s where it's like it's kind
A
of
horror
funny,
comedy.
slapstick, but it's also like really dark. So
All
you know,
right. We're almost done, Ryan.
we
You gonna
are.
recommend me some food?
Yeah, I didn't really have anything to go with this week, so I was just like eggplant parmesan anything because that's what we had last night was well we just had eggplant grinders, but normally we get like eggplant parmesan grinders, and whenever you put eggplant into an Italian setting where it's like sauce and parmesan cheese, it tastes so good. So
Eggplant is
I
awesome.
and
Sometimes
we
we slice it up and put it on a pizza.
I was gonna say
People
there's a
don't
place
like.
down the street that makes the best eggplant parmesan pizza, and like I'm obsessed with it. Like, and I'll eat the whole thing, and it's terrible for you because like you should not be eating like that much
You
pizza
probably
ever.
shouldn't be eating a whole pizza.
But it's so good. It's
Oh,
really
you could. I'm not gonna judge anybody.
and we eat a lot of eggplant because like it's a typical substitute when you're at a restaurant, and that's kind of like the vegetarian option.
Mm-hmm.
But
'Cause
luckily
it can
eggplant's
kind
also
of
really
be
good.
baked
So I
into it.
mean,
Yeah, I think eggplant is good. I know some people hate eggplant. I thought I did until I actually ate it, and then I was like, have I ever even eaten this before in my life? Because it's pretty good. It's sort of just like a neutral vegetable, and it tastes like whatever you spice it up as. So we make pizza a lot in our household, and like one of Zach's favorite pizza toppings is eggplant. So we put that on a pizza a lot. This week we didn't because this week sucked when it comes to food. Like we made nothing of value.
I know. I mean, when stuff was visiting, we just like gave up. We're like mozzarella sticks, nachos, sure.
Yeah,
And we've been
and
both
then,
been
like,
doing.
part of it was because I was going to Arisia, so I wasn't even here most of the time.
That's the worst part about conventions is even if you like prepare in advance and go out to actual restaurants, you still don't end up eating great.
I did okay, but I still had pizza. So
It's like
I've
it's
had so
quick
much
and easy.
it's pathetic.
The problem
I
is that
love
like you and I
pizza.
both do this thing where we're both like we get really hungry, and even though we're like okay we'll have an hour to go before we're done with like everything we're doing, like the hunger is like greater than that hour. So
I'm
we're like the
terrible
pizza
at
place
that.
is
In
like
that
perfect.
scenario, I just eat some stupid crap. Like last
know.
night I ate potato chips and orange juice for dinner. That's not a good I didn't do a good job with taking care of myself.
And
this
that's why
week.
you're gonna work out today, which we did none of on the show today for once.
Hey,
I
I
like
did some
did it a little
squats.
bit. Oh
I
yeah,
did some
I did the weights
squats.
for a little bit, but
We did all
I'm also
right.
not totally awake, and I'm gonna have to take Lyra outside to go for a hike today, and it's gonna be freezing and awful. But there's
Well,
some cardio.
I gotta go review Agent Carter for work because it premiered last night. So
I was
I'm
gonna ask if
do
that premiered because I wasn't actually sure.
It just premiered, and I have no idea if it's good or not because I haven't watched it yet. So I have to go do that.
Oh, okay, that sounds fun. Well, to everyone that's listening, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can also subscribe to our base channel, which is Atomic Blue Productions, and that's also linked below. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow both Atomic Blue and well, no, it's just us and Atomic Blue on Twitter, which is Atomic Blue Prod.
We don't have an Insomniacs Twitter because we don't need one. But
We
if you
don't
want to
really
follow
don't.
the Atomic Blue one, you can get Insomniacs updates.
Yep, that's where we post things, and that Twitter is just basically Maddy and I. And then there's also our Tumblr if you really want to go there. That's just reposting all that stuff. But go to our Twitter pages and our Facebook pages and subscribe to us there. I really can't talk to. I think I did not sleep well at all.
Whatever social media you use, we've got it. Just look for us on whatever it is, whether it's like Atomic Blue Production stuff or
just us. Me, Patsy Walker.
Oh my God. Okay. Is that it? Did we do it? Should I leave?
I mean, did we? I think we did talk about Pee Wee Herman, but do we need to?
I don't know anything about Pee Wee Herman.
Well, we'll talk about it next week. Let's wait until it actually goes on air, and then we'll talk about Pee Wee Herman.
Tell me what the fuck is the deal with Pee Wee Herman, because it's like not a thing I grew up with. So every time I see it, I'm like, this is just like a weird man.
No, next week,
like this weird man.
Provided it doesn't snow and we have this get together this week, and the thing we're talking about next week is The Wizard. So everybody should tune in for that shit. Maddie's so excited already.
I freaking love The Wizard. Unlike everybody else, I genuinely love the movie The Wizard. All right, that's it. I'm gonna go. Bye, Ryan.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye, Maddie.